Hello, everyone, and welcome to my birthday pick. Welcome to our next Bond film commentary. We're hurtling now through the Sean Connery era. And speaking of that, this is the film that was supposed to be the end of the Sean Connery era, except it didn't turn out that way. We'll get into that another time. You Only Live Twice from 1967.
And this is one of the few times where I have to actually comment on the wallpaper, specifically the one we're using. What the heck is going on here? Is Bond running up a rung ladder while having his gun in that weird pose and whatnot?
It's tied to the climax of the movie, which is set in an active volcano where people have built a high-tech base.
Oh, that I get, but what's with Bond suddenly thinking like he's Sonic the Hedgehog and running what appears to be upwards a ladder while still being apparently cool enough to do his iconic
Actually,
gun
it's
pose?
more sideways, but still.
So, this movie, this time, it got another brand new director, Lewis Gilbert, who would go on to direct The Spy Who Loved Me and Moonraker.
So was like the James Bond series like kind of like the MCU of its time? Like it was that big film series that every director wanted a crack at?
Possibly. And the writing credit is interesting for this one as well, because since apparently Richard Maybaum, the guy who normally writes these movies, was busy or something, the screenplay instead was written by acclaimed children's author and anti-Semite Roald Dahl.
Wait. I'm sorry. You're telling me we got the writer of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory working on a James Bond movie?
Yes.
So when does James Bond meet the BFG?
The Doom crossover, Jova.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this is actually the James Bond crossover with Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Got it.
So where should we start with?
Start just before the MGM logo. I don't think it doesn't really matter too much which one. 3, 2, 1, click.
Alright, it's been technically a bit since I saw this, but I have to say, they were, our opinions were technically split last year on Thunderball. I technically still prefer that movie over this. I don't know how much of a hot take this is, but while this movie has a lot of interesting ideas, for once, for one example, this is the movie that sees a direct continuation of what the events of the previous, meaning that Spectre is upping up its game after the death of number 2. So number 1 is actually, trying to be more active in this. But you will see just as many, dull and bad stuff in this.
So you're telling me that when we started to focus more on the iconic villain Spectre, that's apparently when the Connery phase started to really, well,
so we
lose its quality.
In space.
Not to mention Connery himself, but we'll get to that when it comes up.
Now,
this guy's not underwater this time.
There's still a lack of air, but in a different perspective.
How nice of them to tattoo that it's a United States satellite.
You know, Jova, just to be sure. And to be fair, yeah, these were the years of the Apollo program, so I can imagine why they did this. Once again, I don't know the differences with any book counterpart. I can imagine maybe in the original there wasn't this much focus on space, and this was instead, more trying to take advantage of what was happening in the real world at the time.
Oh, look, it's Captain Blue from Captain Scarlet.
Huh.
That's his actor, Ed Bishop.
Huh.
The guy at Hawaii, yeah. That's because Ed Bishop is he's an American actor. He was an American actor who lived in the UK.
Cute.
Ah, don't worry, Superman will swoop in with a repeated shot to save you.
For 20 years, but too early, Tio.
Not to mention that station in the Superman 4 was actually from Russia instead of USA.
I don't know what to do. I can't get back in. Ah.
Oh no, the missile is eating us. I get the idea someone somewhere is getting a bit turned on too much from this sequence.
So, okay, I don't know how the fan base regards this movie, but just off of the fact that we start off in space and this is one of the first things we see, I do get some jumping the shark vibes.
Well, I do hope that he died instantly when that cable was cut, because
That's not how it works, unfortunately.
Probably not.
No, not decompression, but hypoxia.
Basically,
although one thing I will mention, I have seen different cuts of that scene. One that had the cable cutting with sound, and one without. Honestly, I prefer the one without, because his voice suddenly just cutting out like that. I think it's more scary.
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Oh, check this out, Drova. I love it. The British agents are literally telling the Americans to knock it off because the Russians did nothing wrong for once.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. You see, actually, the
Weird
circus didn't actually do anything wrong this time.
movie ending.
Especially with that accent. Yes, quite.
Christ, that face. He looks like the current vice president of America.
I do wonder if the US representative with the glasses is supposed to be a stand-in for Eric Kissinger, which, in case, it would be absolutely hilarious. And of course, we had to cut to Bond doing what else? Shagging.
Okay. So yeah, in terms of sticking points of this movie, it was actually Sean Connery's performance. Depends on your point of view, but some don't seem to think Connery's really putting his best effort into this.
Was he like kind of, mentally checked
Whoop.
out? Well, I gotta give him credit. That was very creative on their part.
Well, the main thing seems to be that Connery he was checked out. Apparently, he was having some money disputes with Eon Productions. It's all a bit messy.
Yeah, it's absolutely no
Bond
bullet
is
wound.
absolutely dead.
Man, this
sure.
version of Hong Kong 67 is weirder than I remember.
Wait. Albert R. Broccoli. Where have I heard that
He's
name
been the
before?
producer since the beginning.
Yeah. That said, yes, I know we see blood, but come on. He should have been Swiss cheese, corpse-wise. And yes, of course you're gonna sell a James Bond movie where Bond dies in the first 7 minutes of your film.
But you see, Drova, we're justifying the title with this because he gets to live twice.
Since you mentioned the cast as well earlier, in terms of the Japanese actors up the cast, we can actually thank Toho for that.
They provided, visuals.
Toho provided some of the actors and some of the facilities in Japan to film.
This because this story particularly will be actually set in Japan, as the lemony British agent said in the meeting.
So let's see. So it's an international incident between Americans, British, and Russians.
And Bond was
The
killed on
movie
British
starts
territory at that time.
in China,
Hong
and the
Kong.
main movie
No,
will
remember,
be in
Hong Kong was British owned at that
Up
point.
until 1997.
1997.
What a
Good
magical
Lord.
year.
And of course, the main bulk of our film will be in Japan.
Well, it more, as the British agent also noted, they seem to believe that, it's kind of strange that this happened all of a sudden, so something else has to be afoot. And yeah, I think this was a song by the daughter of Frank Sinatra.
Yeah, Nancy Sinatra sung this one.
So, okay, I assume the reason that Roald Dahl was brought onto this is because I guess Ian Fleming liked working with him for Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Well, Ian Fleming was dead by this point.
Yeah,
Oh.
Also nipples, I can see them. Roald Dahl will write for City City Bang Bang, which will be released 1 year after this, so again it was like a contract kind of deal.
I don't get it. It's
Sometimes
so...
things just happen, Drova.
Yeah, that's true. I try to make sense of everything in this crazy world, but
It's an
unfortunately, not everything's like a movie.
Although, speaking of names, I don't know if you mentioned names before, but I had to segue into it somehow.
British naval commander murdered.
So this film has different names depending on where you're from. France calls it One Doesn't Live More Than Twice.
I mean, you can say that again.
Japan calls it 007 Dies Twice.
I think my country basically literally translated that.
Yeah. Germany and Latin America, One Only Lives Twice. Norway and Greece got a bit lazy. James Bond in Japan.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's still applicable, but it's, yeah, like you said, generic as shit.
Brazil and Portugal with 007 You Only Live Twice. And China had a very interesting name for this movie. 007 seized the rocket base.
That is also applicable to something that happens later, but still.
Seize?
Package received.
Oh no, underwater scenes again. Run.
Don't worry, Dweebs. These don't last like 10 plus minutes. Although we still need to see all the process. Again, I think that it's taken from Thunderball. You know, it's borrowed back into this movie. Is that a couple of sequences will be a bit, decompressed. You get to see every single step happening.
Okay, remind me, was Thunderball immediately hated, or was that a thing like, as time passed, it became,
I know that
regarded
it still
as
did a lot of
weaker
money,
ones in the grand
and I
scheme?
think that was what was dictating.
Well, specifically, I mentioned the whole debate between Connery and the producers. He had animosity towards Broccoli, but it was mostly towards Harry Saltzman because of his hot-headed ill-temperedness that Connery took rather seriously, and to the point where if either of the producers were on the set, especially Saltzman, he would just refuse to act.
Brilliant.
Interesting enough, the film's set was also visited by the England football team because it was building up to the 1966 World Cup. And Connery actually got on with the England captain more than the producers. Yeah, Connery, the patriotic Scot, gets on better with someone from England.
As a reminder,
than his bosses on the movie.
As a reminder, Sean Connery later in his life actually campaigned for Scotland's independence. So I guess in this case, MI6 has a mobile base on this ship for this case.
So essentially, Bond faked his death.
Just to have a more quiet place to talk with.
So Bond being quote-unquote dead is an attempt to help him go under the radar for his next mission.
Why do I get the feeling this won't stick?
Also, having to see M with a Navy uniform is kind of hilarious.
Your accent's showing a lot more now.
If you guys don't like the extensive voice dubbing in these movies, don't worry. This is the last film that does it to such an extent.
What do you mean?
ADRs, basically.
Where they use ADR a lot.
As in, maybe Jova, you see a character from the back, and clearly there was no dialogue, and it was added in post.
Or they just dub over.
Oh, I know what that is, but I don't recall that being a big complaint we've had about these movies before.
I mean, I was asking just in case you were thinking that internally or something.
What I will say this is like, okay, assuming that this is Connery's acting, he definitely sounds a lot more Scottish than he has in the previous Bond films.
Yeah.
So, I mean, don't get me wrong. Look, in a vacuum, love Connery's iconic voice and all that, but in the context of the film, I do wonder if that was a sign of him just not giving as much a hell about it.
Yeah, I mean, remember, Bond's supposed to be English.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he put on a relatively convincing enough English accent in the previous ones, but this one, literally some of his first few lines, I can tell, yeah, you're Scottish, dude.
And yeah, as usual, the casual, small flirting, but very platonic with Miss Moneypenny.
Okay, Bond, it's nice that you
Instant
talked about...
Japanese, of course.
Also, I've had enough of this English shit. Like,
wait, and we're loading him into a torpedo, of course.
I mean, to be fair, Jova, one of the Metal Gear games literally ends with that, with Snake using the railgun of a Metal Gear to launch himself out of a ship.
Now,
that is true.
About Roald Dahl, in case you're wondering why he agreed to write this film, money.
I mean,
well,
yeah,
of course.
He even quoted, "If you've got enough money to live comfortably, there's no reason in the world to do a screenplay. It's an awful job."
Well,
although apparently, although I should mention as well, he did have a lot of respect for Lewis Gilbert, the director, for sticking to his script pretty much.
So yeah,
not just changing it all around.
This is a late 60s Japan, meaning that the economic boom is just starting. It's not particularly impactful, but it's in a much better state than say the 50s because of stuff like the Marshall Plan.
That wasn't suspicious at all.
It will have to take like 15 years before the big economic boom is in full force and births the cyberpunk genre. Now that would have been a weird Bond movie.
All right, okay. Basically, any dialogue that the Japanese actors are talking in Japanese, I'm guessing it's their original actors still. I mean, it's definitely the case for Bond's main male ally in this movie.
Anyway, Bond is here to witness a sumo encounter. Because, of course, again, it's worth noting right now what this movie decides to do. We strive away from the very dated Yellow Peril kind of, tropes about, the menace from a country like China, Korea, or Japan. So the movie actually bothers to still try to paint the country in a relatively respectful way instead of, being super stereotypical. But it all still suffers from a couple of stereotypes of the time. namely the more kind of exotic kind of behavior. If you know anything that Frank Miller wrote that involves the country, you kind of get what I mean. Or if you've seen stuff like RoboCop 3.
I constantly hear about RoboCop 3, but I haven't seen a single clip from that film.
Well, if you've seen a clip with RoboCop with a jetpack, that's from that.
I surprisingly have not. Somehow that movie just eludes me.
It's probably for the best because one of the things that literally at the beginning is the actor Mako having to play a Japanese, CEO of a Zaibatsu, literally chastising the OCP leaders because he's hostile takeovering them.
What?
Eventually.
Yeah, eventually. But yeah, no, seriously, how cool would it have been if they actually got Godzilla in a James Bond flick?
No, don't you see, Jova? We needed Sean Connery to play the famous journalist Steve Martin for the English dub of Godzilla.
Of course, yes, to tell us all about what happened and everything.
Mr. Anderson? Is the Matrix involved now?
Henderson. Anderson.
Close enough.
As well as his poor relationship with the producers, there were also other problems with the movie. There was press intrusion in Connery's life. He had to hire extra guards. Although even the guards started to take photos.
Wow. And this, in the second half of the 60s, the scarier part of the Cold War.
A fan followed Connery around with a camera. Japanese police had to deal with incursions. And the final straw was apparently Connery was followed into the toilets by a journalist.
Wow.
So Connery really had fans all over the world by that point, which seems flattering at first, but Jesus Christ, people, have etiquette. And, don't be creepy.
Hello.
Yep, and that's Charles Gray playing Henderson. You might know him better for the guy who says just a jump to the left from the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yes, I thought he looked familiar. Totally not the villain. Now, in terms of budget and box office, this movie wasn't hurting. $9.5 million for the budget, $111.6 million for the box
office. Which
office.
for the 60s, it was massive, as you can imagine.
It's the equivalent to $1 billion by the time of 2024 in worldwide box office. How humble of you.
Are you mixing sake with martini? What the hell?
He likes to, he's very creative with his drink mixing. Now watch as I mix together hard vodka, an apple martini, and a seltzer, along with some nice Paul Adams Samuel Adams beer.
Sake is perfectly fine on its own.
A bit too dry for my taste, but at least I agree that you shouldn't really mix it with martini.
Ignoring that I don't really like the taste of alcohol, I've never really liked the kind that just dries your throat especially.
is the rush of adrenaline that the taste that tends to cause for all people, Druva.
And the dryness depends on the drink itself.
At the end of the day, it's
wait a
that
minute.
face.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Okay, but I'm pretty sure we'll see Charles Gray again at some point in the future.
Interestingly enough, this movie employs, people in story that act as assassins, that actually do employ some genuine type of ninja techniques. And I don't mean the one that, a cheap movie from the 70s with muscly American dudes wanting to be ninja will actually make you believe to be. Something that is at least a bit more of a thought process of an evolution of their tactics.
When it comes to old Japanese lore, there are the two sects of the samurai, the honorable warriors, and the ninja.
He's just grown like 2 or 3 foot, and he's groaning in a Scottish accent. How did you?
The fight really took a lot out of him. The idea of a ninja is basically incorporating the very art of assassination, essentially, using darkness and trickery, essentially. Think of it like this, essentially. The samurai would be the noble knight, whereas the ninja is the one who's more okay with using reportedly underhanded tactics.
Well, remember, Gaijin Guba made a fuck ton of arguments in explaining the whole thing, but the primary job for ninjas were to gather informations, not necessarily strictly assassination targets, especially because equipment like shurikens and daggers would have weight on them. So it's a more complicated than that. Anyway, just also for another piece of trivia, if I remember correctly, this guy that Bond is fighting right now, that's the grandfather of The Rock.
Peter,
that's cool.
Peter Maivia.
Yeah.
Wow. He kind of looks like him now that I think about it.
Taste and the sofa.
Dude can take a few hits.
Quite impressive. But yeah, other production issues. Oh boy. Apparently there was a well, not on set this one, but apparently there was a quote from Connery. While it turned out to be a mistranslation, wasn't really helpful. Apparently Connery was quoted by a press conference saying that Japanese women are just not sexy because they hid their figures behind kimonos, which didn't really help the Japanese mood all that much.
And knowing what we know about what Connery had to say about women in general later down his life, that's not too surprising.
Oh boy.
A bit of a complex thing building one of the sets we'll see later on. But other ones I'll mention a bit later when they come up.
That was your one-liner.
So this is interesting lore. Sean Connery fought Dwayne Johnson's grandfather.
Anyway, there's the safe.
I guess if I can give this movie a credit, so far the fight scenes are shaping up better than Thunderbolts.
They're not using the fast forward button for now. I don't remember if it's still used in this movie or not, but I don't think so.
Although there is something there are a couple of other things I can mention that aren't on screen right now. When they got to the final cut, Gilbert and his editor Phil McConnell came with a version that ran for 3 hours and got negative test audience feedback.
Yeah, I can imagine back then, a movie of this type that was super long but not being very digested.
So Peter Hunt, who was an editor for the Bond films but was moving into second unit directing in order to advanced to being a full director, was begged to come back, re-edit the film into something a bit more manageable, and Hunt said yes, but he wanted to direct the next movie, which they did let him do.
As for the results, that's what we'll have to see.
Yes.
Wow.
And hell, even recording the theme song was a bit tricky because Nancy Sinatra was very nervous. It took 25 different takes, and she said she sounded a lot like Minnie Mouse, with the final song basically being the best takes that they did from each recording. To the point where she asked the crew, "Are you sure you wouldn't rather have Shirley Bassey?"
I mean, I don't think the version that we got of the opening theme was that bad. Yes, of course, it's a bit hard to top Tom Jones fainting when he sang Thunderbolt in the previous movie, but come the fuck on.
Something a bit more positive. Peter Maivia, who we saw earlier, he impressed the producers enough that not only is he a one of the ninjas that we'll see a bit later, but he also got to choreograph some of the fight scenes.
Be careful, Bond, or you will be attacked by the yokai who guards the subway after it closes and doesn't want you to snoop around. I'm pretty sure there has to be one.
What?
Whoop!
Don't worry, my back projection will save me.
Including that was repeated frames.
I guess we really are in Superman 4 after all.
That shot was so funny when they zoom in on him. Like, it's just so weird.
And so here we have...
Oh, that is obviously dubbed, isn't it?
So yeah, Tiger Tanaka was played by Tetsuro Tamba physically, and his voice, when he isn't speaking Japanese, was dubbed by Robert Rayety. Who's he did quite a lot of dubbing in the other films.
I mean, I guess it only figures a villain would figure at some point. Hey, you know, James Bond has a clear weakness for women. Let's use that against him.
Well, they have been trying to play around with the concept, like in the previous movie, having, one of the henchmen of number 2 trying to take the whole seduction of Bond to her advantage.
True.
It was still weird because they had the whole, scene at the beginning at the spa where Bond, sexually assaults instead the waitress, where in the book it was completely consensual. Not sure what happened there.
So maybe we can trust this Tiger Tanaka guy who totally doesn't have a villain name.
I actually don't remember what the Secret Service of Japan is called.
Huh.
The PSIA, Public Security Intelligence Agency, or Conchosacho. Okay. Yes.
Oh yeah, Aki. Aki's played, who we saw earlier, is played by Akiko Wakabayashi. I don't know who she's dubbed by, in case you're wondering. But in terms of stuff she's done before, she was in King Kong versus Godzilla. And also Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. Although there is actually a story to the casting. Actually, there is another character who we see later on, Kissy, played by Mie Harmer, but the roles were apparently the other way around initially. But the problem was Mie Harmer was struggling to learn English quick enough, and she was originally going to just be sacked from the film. But she threatened to throw herself off the roof of the Tokyo Imperial Hotel.
Jesus.
Wow.
So they switched roles, so that means she had a role that was important but didn't have much English dialogue. I mean, she was dubbed anyway.
Sean Connery in a kimono. Good lord.
Well, I mean, at least this is as far as it goes. I mean, it's not like they tried to have him be Japanese or anything.
Okay, okay. I will say this also, Dweebs. It's more about It's no case of I wouldn't expect this actor in that kind of attire. It's just that even before they kind of stripped it, you could still see the fact that Sean Connery wants to keep every single one of his chest hair, and it was clashing so hard.
Also, Jibs, were you referencing Die Another Day?
Oh
with
no,
that?
don't worry, Jova. We will see in roughly 40 minutes.
Oh, no.
Something from this. Oh boy, we are in for a wild ride. It sounds like, Shiroi.
Also, yeah, the whole men come first, women come second in Japan line. Yeah, I'm not gonna no.
When,
There were
what period of time is this particular movie set in?
The
Late
one,
60s,
yeah,
1967.
where the movie is actually was made, hence why the stuff in space at the beginning.
Okay, I know that at least by the 50s, there were unfortunately some of those sentiments going on in Japan about how the woman pretty much answers to the man, essentially. Now, again, how much of this is being accurate and how much of this is maybe this film kind of over exaggerating that? I don't know how much I can really say on that.
It's worth noting that a game that came out recently, Silent Hill F, has kind of that as a thematic, and it is set in rural, Japan village during the 60s. So, it's not a thing.
Let me guess, she'll be the Bond girl for this movie, won't she?
My point, Joe, is that I can easily believe this thing was happening, but I can also easily believe that this is how the movie makers interpreted how to convey that, rather than just try to be accurate.
The only reason I do have a little bit of doubt is that it would be kind of rich that the West views Japan like this when there was sexism going on in the West too.
It's just hypocrisy all around, and it kind of always has been, not even just in this case.
Yeah.
Oh, and the troubled production I mentioned, it gets even better.
Go on.
When they were scouting locations, Broccoli, Saltzman, Gilbert, cinematographer Freddie Young, and another guy, I can't remember, they were booked to leave Japan to go to Hong Kong and then London on BOAC Flight 911. 2 hours before it was supposed to take off on the Boeing 707, they were invited to a ninja demonstration unexpectedly, so they missed the plane. After 25 minutes after takeoff, the plane disintegrated and killed everybody on board.
Jesus. Yeah, I will say this, At the very least, Thunderbolt had just the accident with the sharks happening during the filming in the pool.
Wakabayashi. Any scene with her driving on the outside, shot from the outside, that was actually stuntmen creating the illusion of it by attaching a cable and pulling it from outside the frame because she couldn't drive. It's a miracle the film turned out as well as it did, considering all that stuff going on. And we're going to get another example a bit later when we first see Spectre.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Spectre's base.
Oh, for a moment I thought we were actually going to see Blofeld, and I thought, wait, isn't that like
I said,
sacrilege?
Jova, this is a continuation of the events of Thunderbolt, meaning that Spectre is still involved and they're upping up their game.
All right, so who plays this guy? Mr. Osato, he's played by Teru Shimada. Again, I don't know who dubs him. He's actually technically an American actor, even though he was born in Japan.
Guessing American with Japanese ancestry,
Ancestry, yeah.
Basically.
Also, yes, I guess the henchman actually managed to get away.
Yeah, he was basically he was in a load of stuff. He was in a episode of Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, a guest appearance on Perry Mason, Hawaii Five-0.
So I guess in a way we can connect this to the American, edit of the first Godzilla movie.
And ended his career after appearances in other things such as Barnaby Jones and The $6 Million Man.
I mean, let's be fair, Drova. If Bond ever gets prosecuted for, the shit that he pulled off for his service, he will need the best lawyer around.
Yes, he would.
And his assistant Helga was played by Karen Dorr, a German actress.
And she's supposed to be American, isn't she?
Also, one thing that I don't think we mentioned is during one of the initial scenes on the ship when they rescue Bond's body, if I recall correctly, one of the crew members who rescue him is actually played by one of the major actor that played the Master in Doctor Who.
Yeah, Anthony Ainley. He played the Master in the 80s.
He's basically he's second these days most known incarnation.
Oh wait, never mind. Helga's supposed to be German. A German
her actress is German.
Germany collaborating with Japan. That can only lead to a good thing.
Well, remember, being post-World War, this is more of a case of... we don't even know if she's technically registered as East or West Germany at this point.
Oh boy.
Okay, how do you not hear that car behind you?
I think he hears, but he doesn't want to let it be known that he suspects.
See, now you know this is still a movie that is written, by a Western team, because the Yakuza doesn't really do this kind of hit. This is more of a traditional mafia style type of hit. The classic, cars whoops in and they shoot you.
To be fair, isn't it implied that this is actually more so Spectre at the helm, though, and that's supposed to clue? I think that's supposed to clue us in that, it's not the Yakuza, since, assuming these guys are all working for Spectre, they do things differently.
Yakuza 0 told me that Kiryu can shoot down a helicopter with a gun and still pretend he hasn't killed anyone, so what do I know?
Also, I stand corrected. James Bond did not know they were about to creep up on and shoot him.
Not for nothing movie, but two Japanese characters speaking to each other and yet they're speaking English. Oh my god. It's those bits from Godzilla King of the Monsters all over again. I'll put subtitles on it then.
And meanwhile, Bond's thinking, God damn it, this is like the third time they've tried a
Oh,
helicopter
check this
attack
out.
on me.
It's a
Not to worry.
helicopter with a magnet. Okay, now this is starting to resemble a Captain Scarlet episode.
Hey, listen, if it works in this logic, then let it work.
SIG indeed.
Oh no! Help! Okay.
The fun part is trying to figure out how much of this was Ian Fleming's original vision, or how much of this is just Roald Dahl doing this thing of just putting in plain weird stuff.
Yeah, this.
You could put us down in at the police station.
Nah, it's funnier this way.
Guys. I don't know why you're taking us over the sea.
Look. The studio really wants to flex this effect, so yeah, we're flexing it.
We're dumping a car in the ocean, you're gonna like it.
Like, shoot, did they actually dump a car in from a helicopter?
Just murdered all of them. I know they're trying to kill Bond.
At the very least, Bond got a better one-liner out of that, we'll say that.
That said, Bond's kind of had to have his ass saved a noticeable amount in this movie.
Well, it's a recent kind of thing. Remember, in the previous movie, there was that sequence where one of the Spectre agent had to kill another one for, incompetence, but it inadvertently saved Bond's life.
It's noticeably happened a lot in this one. Honestly, if it weren't for the Japanese Secret Service, he would have been toasted at least 3 times, and we're not even halfway through the film yet.
And as a reminder, he's supposed to be undercover, having faked his death and all, and he proving to have worked absolutely nothing.
I mean, at least he didn't go under his real name when he met that other guy earlier.
That's the thing, though. I get the feeling Spectre pretty much knows it's him anyway, so yeah, the whole... Okay, it feels like the whole faking his death thing was just so that they could have...
He tried to kill me with a
forklift. Alright, James Bond, it's time to Shenmue your way out of this.
I mean, he cannot say that he was looking for sailors because he found them.
Also, why didn't you shoot him? Yeah, now you're trying to shoot him, but you guys had ample time earlier. She just said she's not leaving you, dude. That was easy.
Barely an inconvenience.
Oh, really?
I mean, well, she is an agent of the Japanese Secret Service.
You guys really suck at this, you know that?
Also, I think that was the same guy that he shot. They recycled the actors for this.
Oh, there's another body there.
Camera, I understand. Okay, movie, I understand that you want to be super fancy by saying we can use helicopter shot, but Bond is a bit too tiny for this. Tiny for that camera angle.
But Tio, we did it all in one cut. Isn't that impressive?
I mean, I could just play one of the Greek Saga God of War games for that, I guess. Whee!
Ow. So after all that, he got fooled by
which makes this scene completely pointless.
But look at who it is.
A Spectre agent, or at least one of their enforcers. It's kind of hilarious. Number 2 turned out to be relatively incompetent, in the previous movie, and yet here we have, a lower-ranking Spectre agent actually managing to get the upper hand on Bond.
What is she, like number 11?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's number 11.
Huh. Yeah, much lower, but she's been much more effective than number 2. You mean like every other femme fatale that's tried to kill you?
Getting flashbacks to Thursday. Like, the only major difference is Bond is such a horn dog that he normally doesn't care about this thing, but, you know.
See, now, Xenia on top knew how to mix being sexy while still trying to kill him, at least. Come on, women, focus! Unless this is actually Helga's plan to sex the information out of him, in which case, kudos? Like, yeah, there's been a lot of femme fatales that have tried seducing him, but I don't think any have ever tried to literally charm the info out of him yet. Because I'm married to my job.
Yeah, plus, yeah, I thought it would kill me. Aren't you busy?
Leave me alone, I'm busy.
Really? That worked?
I guess now we know why she's only number 11. Bond, that's a perfectly good dress.
I know, right? I don't care how sexy that is. I like to be practical with my clothes, thank you very much. So, that's it. He seduces her and boom. And again, his Scottish accent is slipping in.
Boof. Okay, fair enough.
Yep, she was playing him all along.
Okay, alright. Criticism redacted. There you go. She was playing the long game. Although, why didn't she just kill or stab him at a previous moment if she was gonna do
To
that
be fair,
anyway?
Joe, this is Spectre. They need to, kill their opponents in a very specific way.
But I guess shooting him would be too suspicious or something, as opposed to just dying in an air accident.
Considering how Bond has ported Spectre's plan for, like, 3 times now, I get the idea they will try to, prioritize just having to kill him, But then again, there is a reason why this franchise coined the idea for, villains who are too stupid to be pragmatic. Right.
Please tell me we're not going to have a lie revealed over this, of all things, in a James Bond movie.
Not that I
Especially since
remember, at
it's-
the very least.
Well, at least this film's progressing a lot faster than the last one.
Without having to use the fast forward button. It's more of a case with that a lot of stuff is happening, while the previous one was even more decompressed. Hey, it's Q.
We gonna see what gadgets he's got this time?
Damn.
Something called Little Nelly. Okay, I mean, if this was the last film, we'd have to watch every single step in real time.
Instead, it was also still a bit similar to, a Captain Scarlet episode. Okay.
Is this like Thunderball where, the jetpack was some state-of-the-art technology, so they had to use it? Is this like based off of some new tech that they really wanted to use for
I
this
do
movie?
wonder. I honestly, the look seems a bit too fancy for that. And considering Roald Dahl, Retro City City Bang Bang, which will be released 1 year after this, and that car also has some extravagant gadgets to it. I don't know.
I mainly ask because this helicopter seems so specific. Like, Taika Tanaka even offered for him to use one of his own helicopters, and like, aside from this looking cool, yeah, I'm kind of wondering why not use a more secure helicopter since this one looks way more flimsy. This music. This feels like something that wouldn't be out of place in a Batman 60s episode.
It's an awesome track, though.
Yeah, fair enough.
But hey, there's an excuse to get some overhead shots of Japan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Although this village is supposedly on the path to where the that satellite was seen touching down.
This is why, remember, let's not forget that this is why Bond is here. Because, the whole shenanigans that happened with the satellite, at the beginning of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
An inactive volcano.
Yeah, Japan's got a few of those. I'm almost surprised they didn't go for that one volcano everyone likes to
Fuji.
use in Japan. Yeah.
It's a bit high, to the point where the peak is constantly covered in snow. Like, I get the idea they would have had, a difficult,
Difficult time
difficult time.
replicating it.
Unless they genuinely just wanted to, have a movie with a snowy environment, which they will do in the next movie. But
Speaking of helicopters,
Time for a helicopter battle.
again, they're trying. It's clear that the movie is trying to take advantage of the medium to showcase. Look what the stuff that we can do in terms of coordination and practical effects. Which, yeah, for the time it was impressive. A bit similar to how the underwater fights were in the previous movie. Too slow and too clunky these days. But for the time that it was made, you can imagine. It was kind of a miracle to witness. Yeah,
Like, this doesn't look bad.
Oh, no. Like,
and it's also an excuse to have an aerial equivalent of the Aston Martin car, as in a vehicle with gadgets that Bond uses to dispatch the henchmen.
this is one thing I take a note that I noticed that a lot of the more negative reviews of movies like this or Thunderball seem to be more retrospective reviews, reviews made more in the modern age as opposed to when they first came out, since from what I can gather, it seems like these movies were for the most part all hits, partly because they really just did go above and beyond with their production values. I'm not sure what he was dropping onto them, but well done.
I cannot even make a freedom joke because he's British, not American.
he's Scottish, English.
Oh, so basically he was dropping tea packets onto them.
Yeah, let's go with that.
And yes, that is a nice use of the iconic Bond theme. Well done. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not sure I'd call this the cream of the corn writing-wise, but otherwise, this seems like a relatively quintessential James Bond movie that I think shows that they at least learned most of their lessons from Thunderball, you know. Better than any other woman I've ever slept with, eh, lads?
So now the Soviets are launching a craft into space.
Mm-hmm.
Let me guess. The plan is essentially make it look like America and Russia are messing with each other to, of course, make the Cold War run hot.
Classic. Again, 60s was the more turbulent time. So you can imagine that in a story like this, Spectre will try to be a war profiteer for the sake of, putting
Okay,
chaos and seeding the rewards.
So these guys can speak their own language to each other extendedly without subtitles. So what was with the other?
Okay, I'll be honest and fair. My guess is that, in cases like that, we can infer that people can be very bilingual and sometimes they'll just like to flex that they can speak English or whatnot. Like, for that car scene, I'm willing to give it that benefit of a doubt. I guess it was more so during something like the Godzilla American film, essentially, where, okay, in the presence of the American, I got it, but in some cases, those people clearly spoke their home language more diligently, but for some reason chose to randomly speak English elsewhere.
It's more of a case, Joe, that it takes you out of the movie. Yes, you can easily construct a reason why it will happen in universe, but at that point, you're not asking yourself that. You're asking why did the movie makers decide to do that?
Now, I guess one case I'm okay with it is if, like, say, what if... Oh, dear. That doesn't look any less phallic, you know.
So now it's both an American and a Soviet satellite that has
Well,
been digested.
at least this time, one of the astronauts isn't floating in space, dying painfully.
Well, that ain't good.
Yeah, let's go upside down and just fuck with the astronauts.
Although, any astronaut worth their salt should have definitely have trained for something like that.
Yep, I'm sure astronauts have been well trained in the art of having their craft kidnapped.
You know I was talking about the spinning.
Also,
Uh-oh.
I love it. They have the re-entering in the opposite position it should be doing that. Because the atmosphere will literally burn it to a crisp.
For a moment I thought they were about to have it literally crash, but
the
no, it looks like they're bringing it in.
Having learned nothing from Thunderbolt, Spectre is a very, very easy to find base inside in case this volcano, which Bond has already partially figured out.
Yeah, but Bond didn't. Bond just said it was a bunch of volcanoes.
It's happening the same thing that happened in the previous movie. First time Bond flows around, doesn't find anything, but he has a suspicion, and that's what is gonna tip him eventually to find actually the base.
To their credit, Bond only found out about this place because of a picture from a girl who they literally murdered just to keep a secret as
Hey,
well.
the Pentagon!
You know, if this had been during Ronald Reagan's era, this would have been perfect for that stupid Star Wars program he was doing.
Okay,
But,
Joe, but you know better. 67, who was the president at the time?
I believe that may have been...
Was it still Lyndon B. Johnson?
Yes, actually. That was Lyndon B. Johnson, 1967.
We're so screwed.
Don't worry, because his successor would be Richard Nixon, who... Okay. Okay, there's a lot to be said about what he did internally, but ironically, Nixon was apparently one of our better presidents in regards to foreign affairs, go figure. Jesus Christ. It's mixed blessing after mixed blessing, I swear to God.
Oh, now I can
And there's
mention it.
number one with his cat.
Yeah. Okay. Now, instead of the combination of Anthony Dawson plus another voice guy, obviously saw him from Russia with Love and Thunderball, they wanted to recast Blofeld with someone else. Now, originally, Harry Saltzman went behind the director's back and cast an actor named Jan Verick, who was a very bearded guy.
Oh yeah, there's even a picture of him as Blofeld.
But not long into him filming the role, it was becoming clear that he was not suited for it at all, being compared to Santa Claus at one point. So
Wait. Did they actually show Blofeld's face for the filming?
well, there was a photograph of him, but
I know that, but I mean, like, well, okay. What I mean was, did the film itself actually show Blofeld's face, though? Because
no, not his, no. But basically, what they had to do was that the big haste recast Blofeld as Donald Pleasance.
Which honestly, arguably is a decent enough choice for the role.
Although there were still, hell, it was even the role that Dr. Evil took after. Although they did dub over some of Jan Verick's bits with Pleasance when there's only his arms and legs on screen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's interesting.
That cat,
if somebody...
as usual, looks very confused. Leg. Leg of lamb. Of course, he has an entire, school of piranhas in the water below. Just pretend that they're there. We don't see them. I get the idea that the cat is not particularly liking the way Donald Pleasant is petting them.
That cat is pissed.
This is extortion. You do know what the E in Spectre stands for, right?
So I'd recommend you sleep with one eye open tonight.
Better yet, read what the Spectre stands for before making a deal with them, you idiots.
If there's one thing that number one despises is incompetence, and so far Spectre has not made a lot of good decisions, unfortunately.
Also, this is weird. I thought number one was like Blofeld's second in command,
No,
not Blofeld himself.
I like how they keep like going back to the cat for some reason.
just to showcase the fact that Blofeld, is kind of losing his patience while petting the cat, and this is reflected.
Yeah. Don't tell me you let him go.
Oh, you barrel tosser. Spectre is competent
Wait,
agents,
he was trying to
everyone.
argue with Blofeld. Damn. What?
Like I said, Blofeld despises incompetence. Not sure
That's
why
not
only
half likely.
not sure why only number 11 gets to be devoured by the piranhas when even, Air Cooperator also fucked up.
I'm guessing it's because Ozato has more money and resources that he can still use.
Potentially, but even then, number 1 told him basically this is your last chance.
But yeah, no, like, I was under the impression that number one was Blofeld's, well, number one.
No,
And-
number two.
No.
Not Blofeld's number
The
one.
hierarchy is that the Blofeld sits at the top, and remember that was why the previous movie was supposed to be such a big deal, because Largo was literally number 2, the highest ranking, general.
That being said, the sad thing is, I don't know if, like, dying to piranhas is a more or less dignified death than being curtailed by your arch nemesis and thrown into a smoke pipe.
Don't remember how many movies it happens, after this, but not yet.
Yep. Top secret ninjas. Yep.
Oh,
Very
shoot.
top secret, loud ninjas.
Yeah, I was gonna say top secret proceeds to
Okay,
yell.
now I'm getting proper flashbacks to those 70s
And this is
exploitation movies.
Tanaka's ninja. And this is Tanaka's ninja training school.
Okay, to be fair, I'm guessing this is more the combat section of it as opposed to the silent part.
It's been a long time since I saw Gaijin Goomba's videos about it, so I'm super rusty on the matter.
The cameraman shitting himself right there.
I know, right? Especially if that's real weaponry they're using, and given it's the 60s, that
Well,
very well could be all.
Thankfully, Kendo tends to use instead wooden swords to begin with, and with the protection, it's a kind of fencing that generally doesn't actually hurt you.
Shame these swords do not look wooden.
No.
So we have star pupil here.
Yeah, that's a thing. Modern ninjas are, okay with using weaponry of.
Well, it's worth noting, this I do remember. Ninjas were even back then, they were very open to adopt firearms in their style, but like I said, that was for specific mission of assassination. You have to think of that as the equivalent of sniping. That's why they would prefer, a long barrel type of rifle rather than, a hand pistol or something.
Like, it cannot be understated the mass advancements in technology that Japan saw. Like, a lot of people tend to think,
Oh,
old
no.
Japan times, that's
Alright,
all.
it's now, I think.
Oh no.
So, for this mission, Bond literally has to turn Japanese. Let's see how the grace of a Western filmmaking company in the 60s can pull it off, shall we?
You take a wife? What? Why does he need to take a wife?
For his cover, apparently.
Okay, so not Aki.
Oh yeah, because he's totally truly in love with Aki, and she'll be the one love interest who stays past this movie.
Yep, here we go. The film's attempt to try and turn Scottish Sean Connery into a Japanese man.
No. Don't you see? You have to actually replace his bone marrow with that of a Japanese person to make him
Jova,
Japanese.
that would be very stupid. Why would they ever do that?
Wow,
And
it's
here's
a
the
good
end
thing
result.
it sounds like no one's ever done that, huh?
Oh, totally, Shiroi. They would never do something
Oh,
that silly, especially in the
Jesus Christ, yep.
90s of all things.
Oh my god! Jesus Christ!
I'm glad we
We-
did not put him a Fu Manchu style mustache and goatee combo, but holy shit.
Like, okay. Let us try. Let us try and consider that, okay, it's part of the spy bit and he has to commit to the bit, okay? I'm sure he's doing this with the utmost of the respect. That being said, still, yikes.
Yikes forever.
For something more interesting, now you instead gonna see an actual proper type of, ninja assassination technique.
Let me guess, this is all part of his test to see if he can sense a ninja.
Apparently, Aki was originally supposed to be named Suki, but Akiko Wakabayashi requested the name change. Also,
Alright.
I don't think. Also, in case you're wondering, no, this isn't a test.
Very simply, a piece of clothing, like, a small rope of cotton, for example, that's, there you go, with poison attached to it, which simply drips into the victim's mouth. That's actually kind of ingenious as a technique.
However,
That is.
Never seen something used like that before. It's kind of cool.
It's very stealthy and usually works.
but
Oh, what bad luck!
Oh, God. I thought it was just going to go on his forehead or something.
Tastes like grape jelly and mustard.
Bad luck. Who are you working for? Oh, wait, right.
so yeah, Aki's out the
Wait.
movie.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think this is still before they head out.
Yeah, all that hullabaloo about how Aki was the one he really wanted to be with and loved, that went nowhere. Oh yeah, one of our agents is dead, but it's okay. You just got 2 more days training.
Well, remember,
And-
even the previous movie glossed over the death of the female agent character by having Bond asking the report and being told, she's dead, let's move on.
Oh shoot, I actually forgot about her, dang. So, Aki's brave sacrifice will not be in vain.
Oh, wait a minute.
Shit. Not my spleen.
Yeah, he
Thought he
started
stabbed him in
it.
the butt.
He started it.
Uh,
And you did
Okay.
notice that only now?
Okay, that is not one but two life attempts on your supposed stronghold, Tanaka. Funeral for Aki.
No, actually, this is the wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we really
Remember-
did just gloss over Aki's death. Is that the bride?
That's the joke. We're guessing which one it is.
That said, if whoever's this bride is going to be the Bond girl for this movie, I think that's like the latest that they've introduced a. Well, actually, no, hold on. How late was the Bond girl from the first movie introduced? Now that I think about it,
Ursula Andress, a bit late if I recall correctly. Not too much, but I think 2/3 in.
I'm trying to recall if she showed up earlier or later than the equivalent of this movie. Again, assuming that the bride is going to be the Bond girl for this movie.
So there are several weddings today.
Yeah, basically a mass wedding ceremony.
So is like Bonds' betrothed going to be the new girl who now he suddenly feels he truly loves and all that?
She's not in the next movie, in case you.
Well, yeah, that I figure. It's just okay. To be fair, some more than others, but some Bond films really act like Bond truly feels something with this woman or whatnot, only to then just have that woman disappear off the face of the earth in the next movie.
They have to erase their memories in between movies.
It's weird
Oh,
because some stuff will stick. Like again, the next movie will have a major status quo thing happening towards its end. It's spoilery, so I won't say the details. But that will be remembered in some future movies.
Yeah, true. If I recall correctly, while continuity has been a thing, this was the first movie where we like directly kicked off with the previous film's plot.
Very specifically because remember, Spectre already in From Russia with Love cannibalized the plot of Doctor No by saying that retroactively he was one of her agents.
Okay,
Remi-
now that Bond has successfully integrated himself into the Japanese culture,
Hooray!
shudder. We can get on with the movie.
Was it Connery's plan all along for this to be his last Bond film at the time, or was it just something that it seemed like as a result of whatever strain development went on that Connery was just done with it?
Possibly that one, yeah. Although, again, well, like I said, this was supposed to be his last movie.
Well, yeah. Well, hence why I said at the time. Like, we know
Yeah.
Fate had other decisions, but
I think it
we'll get
might
to
have
that
been
when
just
we
a
get to
simple
that.
case of contract expiring, Jova, especially because the actor who they got to replace him for the next movie was supposed to have a contract for 7 movies, but only did one because his agent was an idiot. More on that for when we get to on Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Beautiful.
So yeah, a lot of these citizens are actually his Tanaka's super
Agents.
secretive ninjas in disguise.
Ominous.
Christ, Connery really sticks out doing this.
It's so weird because, again, around this time, Star Trek TOS was happening, And Leonard Nimoy with very minimal, makeup and the extra pointy stuff for his ear could have been, more convincing if they really wanted to put, a disguise like that. But
Well,
again,
that's quite the thing to drop my parents at death.
who are you, Batman? But again, it's the principle of the thing. It's so weird because, Bond has managed to go undercover for the most part in other situations, but no, it's in this case that he has to, physically disguise himself, 100%. Also, for that scene from before, Bond, mate, that's really a skill issue. Using chopsticks to eat, that's really not as hard as, you may get intimidated, but it really isn't that hard.
Oh, Joe, but there was a funeral, just not for Aki. It was for this other girl that was going into the Spectre cave and came out dead.
Okay, I think
The one
so
who took
far.
the picture.
I think so far this might be the Bond movie up until this point which has the highest female body count.
Yeah, let's see. Aki, Helga.
The tourist.
Both in terms of death and Bond's own body count.
Yeah.
Casey, for some reason, wanted to strip down to just a bra and bikini there for a second.
Pearl diving, I think. That's what they're doing.
Fair enough.
Well, they're having a nice time.
Yes.
As that disguise of his gone now. If you can call
Shouldn't
it
you
that.
get dressed before cave diving?
Oh, that's kind of the point. The point is to not do that. Also, gas. And yeah, there goes the disguise. It was shit anyway, so no loss.
I guess the book version of Pinocchio had a point. You can literally shed your skin in salt water.
Yeah. Although, if I recall correctly, it was the fish that ate away the
that
donkey
is true.
skin.
That is true. In the original book, it's a case where the fish, for some reason, decide to eat away the donkey skin, and with a Franz Kafka-esque metamorphosis, Pinocchio emerges in his original puppet body from it.
Oh, body horror, Jesus.
The original Pinocchio book is chock full of that.
I can imagine.
Just business, so don't fool around. So how long until they start fooling around?
I'll remember, Jova, since we're like 2/3 slash almost 3/4 in, usually that will happen, as the reward at the very end. Or
And
reconnect
The grass
them
is
now.
not a comfortable place.
Oh, wow, that took about less than a minute of screen time, I think, before they started fooling around.
Cucked by an helicopter.
I don't watch you bloody pervs.
Bummer.
Alas. This still takes me back to the wallpaper of the film, which shows Bond, again, either standing or running up the rung ladders, which implies he's sideways, which defies all physical explanation whatsoever, assuming that, it's meant to represent that opening portal. So I still wonder, what were the artists thinking when making that wallpaper?
Maybe they
I
just
don't
wanted
know.
it to be cool. I don't know.
Composition of a shot.
And you know what? I can appreciate that, rule of cool and whatnot, but I do think the best combination is, something that makes sense while looking cool. Okay. It doesn't always have to make sense, but it doesn't have to be completely nonsensical either. You can tell we're in America because we have a southern drawl now.
Okay, I don't know if it was something that was. I think this was still adapted from one of Fleming's book, but in case it's very surprising that for this story specifically they did not decide to use the CIA agent that accompanies Bond occasionally, Felix Leiter. It kind of
I'm
feels
guessing
like Bond should need a supporter from one of the parties involved. I get the idea why you don't want a Soviet agent, because the Soviets are still depicted as always chaotic evil. So, but
my best guess is well, they wanted to basically have it be that America's in the dark on this thing because, okay, if Felix was there, that would imply that America's at least aware, and if America's aware, then that would kind of reduce the stakes of, America versus Russia all out war, basically. That's my best guess as to why they didn't include him in the film when it does seem like he should have been in. That is the greenest, most solid lava I've ever seen before.
more
yeah,
like.
Bond's already figured out this metal.
Mhm. More like it's supposed to represent maybe an acid pit, because that's usually what happens even with inactive volcanoes. Because of all the gas happening, any liquid would be corrupted and its pH would drop considerably.
I didn't realize we were on or around a volcano at this point. I thought it was like a lagoon because we were by the ocean earlier.
Mm-hmm. They basically walked around from there to the side of the mountain. Interestingly enough, TV Tropes tells me that apparently this movie acted as one of the first instances of a supervillain having a base inside of a volcano,
Wait a
where in
minute, wait
recent
a
times it
minute.
became passé.
He was clearly bare-chested under that outfit, but now suddenly he had a turtleneck to change into?
Shut up.
Don't worry about it. And
Also,
he was wearing a skin suit, and the turtleneck was underneath that skin suit.
that was a terrible balaclava. Regarding what you said before, Sheer, about the tall grass, believe it or not, my country actually has a specific terminology for people who decide to actually go up in in the open countryside and doing the no pants dance in the middle of the grass.
Oh, what's the terminology?
Okay, the Italian term is called camporella, which will roughly be translating it doing it in a field.
Huh.
Let's see
Dare
if
I
can
ask if
find.
it's seen as just a normal activity in that case?
Well, yeah, it's to be expected from young couples.
I mean, hey, as long as they don't feel too uncomfortable, I guess. Alright, so now it's time for Bond to put his super ninja skills to the test.
Clearly.
Oh my god, those are the orbs from Incredibles.
I also love that the Spectre personnel in this has color-coded uniforms. It's always, red, yellow, or white.
I guess given the fact that The Incredibles takes place during the 60s, apparently, it makes sense that Syndrome's Isle took some inspiration from it.
Mm-hmm.
What are they doing, actually? What's their mission?
Well, for not they kidnapped astronauts on both sides in order to, raise chaos between them, and also extracting, if I recall correctly, payloads that are inside. They're not nukes, if I recall correctly, but they're still weapons for the war.
Miyahama was also Fumiko Sakurai in King Kong vs. Godzilla, the original, yeah.
So that's more direct connection. Okay.
All three of the actresses in this movie, the three main ones, are still alive in real life. Oh wait, no, except for Karen Dorr, died in 2017. But the two Japanese main actresses still alive.
Oh, there you go. I found out direct translation for my term. Apparently, the English language called it rolling the hay. There you go.
There's the kidnapped astronauts, well, the ones that are alive.
Mm-hmm. Remember, the Soviets were all taken alive, but one of the Americans got cut away
He's still floating out there.
when it floats down.
Well, crud. Guess they didn't see her.
I'm pretty
Cover of
sure I saw
darkness.
someone swimming in the water just then.
That's just your imagination.
Well, my imagination looks awfully sexy tonight.
How could you miss?
She moved.
Shut up! Go and practice on her.
Maybe we got her.
Are you sure?
She's not coming up. She would have to hold her breath for like 5 minutes.
Wow, that Japanese guy has quite the British accent.
To be fair, Spectre tends to, be an international group of having, agents all over the world. I guess if there's one thing that Blofeld is actually inclusive. Okay, the cat seems a bit more chill now. Okay.
Hissy figures, look, so long as my lap gets his plans done,
Oh,
I get a
crap.
good belly rub.
Bond's actually going to go into space to stop the mission.
Waves, Bond going to space, that would be absurdly campy. That's not gonna happen.
But I don't think I think Bond's making a bit of a mistake here.
Well, for starters, he did not
No.
close his helmet completely.
We're really about to see James Bond go into space.
Hmm. Okay, so he's gone in.
Uh-oh.
Oops.
Crud. Sorry, Bond, you're not going to space.
Yet.
Yeah, you made a little mistake there, as Blofeld will explain in a moment.
I love it. The cat is in one direction in a shot, but in the other looks in the complete different opposite one. Continuity, what's that?
And now,
Blofeld
Oh,
himself, with a
Oh,
massive scar.
we actually do get to see his face.
Yes, this is the movie that finally reveals how Blofeld looks like. Mind you, on the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really mean anything,
so where did his hair go?
Shut up as well.
Also, it's weird because
He's shorter and his face isn't as square as it was before.
also
A lot rounder.
I could swear that future films will go back to hiding his face for some reason.
That's because for different complication in recasting, they employ the excuse that Blofeld will go through several layers of plastic surgeries.
Just so they can go back to hiding his face? Like, that feels kind of pointless unless it turns out that, oh no, this Blofeld here is actually a fake, and the real Blofeld is still out there.
No.
Well, okay, you know what? I can kind of see why Connery would want to go after this, since this is finally the climactic showdown with Blofeld, so by all accounts, this would be the last Bond film, right?
That actually reminds me, Dweebs, outside of that parody Casino Royale movie we saw for April Fools, did the organization SMERSH ever appeared in the traditional Bond movies?
No, but in terms of Bond media, when they did the From Russia with Love video game, they had to replace Spectre with Smersh, I believe.
Okay, so...
Or something else I don't remember.
Okay.
So remind me, at what point did they run out of books to base movies on and just started making original plots for the
The
movies?
Living Daylights, that was the last one.
You have to understand that Ian Fleming was very prolific.
Oh yeah, he made a lot of those books, didn't he?
It took 25 years. It took to 1987 for them to run out.
And I guess to give him credit, it's not like they petered out either after they ran out of material. Like, they came up with ideas.
But it is noticeable that after that point, the Bond movies started, not all of them, but from that point forward, there started to arriving Bond movies that genuinely sucked. Not just that they were too campy, but they were really bad.
Also, yeah, I love the figure. See, it's totally the Soviets. It's got the red star on it.
Clearly. And to be fair, it also has CCP written on it as well.
Was that it's said differently in Russian.
Yes.
Well, it's Russian. So it's USSR.
Yeah, in Cyrillic. Like I said, I do enjoy Donald Pleasance as Blofeld because I really enjoyed him, as an actor for the roles that he gave, like the Doctor in the Halloween movies, But the role of a villain usually fits him very well as well. I particularly am fond of when he played for a comedy movie done in my country. We got him to play the psychologist of a mafia boss. with a gimmick, but he accidentally gets stabbed in the hand, and he's super over the top.
Look at all these extras we can get.
Again, it's also slightly similar to the climax of Thunderball, where they had a bunch of extras for a big climatic fight.
But this one's going to be much more exciting.
Well, for once, it will not be in the water.
I mean, like we've mentioned, I'll give him credit. The idea was certainly there overall, and it wasn't the worst. The problem was the pace.
The cat wants to get out.
Like, that cat has had enough.
But as soon as it's captured, Blofeld's just going to blow him up.
The highly trained ninjas, foiled by a machine gun.
To be fair, pretty hard to outsmart a bullet.
I also
A dodge hitch over. How difficult can that be?
According to Heavy Weapons Guy, near impossible.
Okay, now the cat seems more relaxed.
The sound of gunfire calms them.
Of course.
You see, the cat is linked to Blofeld. The happier Blofeld is, the happier the cat is.
Okay. I get the idea that the cat was just not prepared for the fact that it was supposed to be tossed around because the actor was moving with them.
At least hold me correctly, dumbass.
So yeah, the trick of the last cigarette, which one turned out, revealed to
Had
be
a gun in it.
That's a very rookie mistake for Blofeld, I will say.
Okay, it was meant to be opening the door, but the door looked like it wasn't moving.
Ah, don't you see, Dweebs? It's a crater.
Also, get it? This most intimidating Blofeld is actually rather short.
Napoleon complex and all. I don't remember if they mentioned how he got to the scar, but it serves just to say, oh, intimidating villain and all.
Uh-huh.
I forgot, Dweebs, did one of the more modern Bond movies use the William screen for one of the extra, victims?
I don't know. Oh, you can't close that, can you?
Yeah.
Nope. I don't want to see my men being blown up.
That's my job.
Blofeld, saying that nothing can stop you is kind of cute for you getting stopped.
It's like you might as well just segue into what could possibly go wrong.
Look out, men! She doesn't have any of the ninja gear. That means she's the final boss.
I mean, it's funny. Well, the Spectre guys are wearing helmets, and yet they're the bad guys.
True, yeah. At least they regard safety regulations.
It's kind of funny. For this thematic fight, it seems that the grenades have turned out to be the most effective weapons to use. The cat really wants to get away.
The cat's trying to get away.
Can't imagine why.
Now I guess in this case the sound of the explosion is not particularly calming for the poor guy.
Go back to the guns. Unidentified object, and it's just the cat on the keyboard.
Maybe it's the cat who's really just controlling Blofeld.
Took you long enough, huh?
I swear to God, hold me correctly.
I love that the cat disappeared in between shots. In one, it was between the legs of the other guy, but then it just poofs away. And if I recall correctly, we don't see it anymore. Though it shows up in future movies, so I guess Blofeld got another one.
He really had to wait until the last moment to actually try and kill Bond.
Jeez.
Again, this is the franchise that coined the trope of Bond villain stupidity.
Like,
just go back the way you came.
Like, I'm sorry, at this point, Blofeld can't talk about his subordinates failing to kill Bond after that.
Also, did they put the makeup back on him?
No. It's just that in some of the shots it might, look confusing. There's got to be a better way.
Again, it's like I said before, at least this final fight scene is at least somewhat exciting and not shittily edited.
Oh yeah, no, like, I mean, despite issues we've had with the story, I'd say that this is essentially a nice Bond film that finally puts us face to face with Blofeld. It definitely hasn't aged the best in some regards, and Connery just seemed like he's phoning it in at times, but otherwise... What?
That's another thing, though. It's some seem to disagree on when Connery's phoning it in, either this film or Diamonds Are Forever.
Well, we're not there yet. Alright.
Oh, yeah. Hans.
Oh, yeah, I guess we gotta have a fight with this guy.
Hans,
Guten Tag.
The big bad henchman of this movie. Hans exists.
Yeah, he barely had... Okay, there was some screen time. Remember, he was the one that demonstrated how the Piranha Pit worked. But virtually no personality and not even a gimmick to speak of.
Now, he's not Red Grant.
Like, in order to make him more interesting, I had to compare him to Hans Gross from Wolfenstein.
I wonder if he's going to be thrown into the Piranha Pit as penance. Especially since it's just literally right there.
Ow.
But yeah, no, like, Hans, you don't really have much reason to do this, right? Your boss has already fled.
There you go.
And like clockwork. Say hi to Helga for me.
3 out of 10.
It's one of his better one-liners in this film, I'll give him that.
He's trying, but nah.
Well, trying is a relative term.
Now, how much of that is on Connery versus the writing?
That would
I'm not
be the
sure.
writing, for a one-liner, unless it was improv.
Also, that zoom in, what the heck?
And he almost turns to the camera.
Yeah, like, that felt like something out of Starship Troopers.
I'm doing my part.
Yes, that very one.
Yeah. Just
fiddle with the controls, it'll do something.
The hungry Starship.
He's trying to turn the key.
Thank goodness it came with that device in mind. Congratulations, gentlemen. The enemy blew themselves up. I consider this a successful run for us.
We didn't do anything.
We'll just say that we did it all, like we
Whee!
usually do.
Yeah, but Blofeld, he's a bit annoyed that his cat's gone, so
Self-destruct.
Obviously. You can't be a super villain without a self-destruct to your base, Jova.
Hey, wait a minute. Why is Kissy back in her swimsuit? She was in what looked to be like an outfit beforehand.
What have I told you, Jova, about asking questions?
And so Blofeld survived. He went off to have plastic surgery to remove the scar and turn himself into Kojak.
Also, the volcano blew up in a very bad special effect.
And
And
become
that sound effect
American.
was and that sound effect was literally a
Like,
thunder
Jesus,
strike.
I get what they were trying to do, but they could have tried a bit better.
Yeah, in the next movie, Blofeld's will be played by Telly Savalas.
Although that was before he started the Kojak series.
Kojak, yeah.
So what? He goes back to being faceless later on. Like
No,
again, I just
no.
Well,
Oh,
again, Jova, you'll see.
What happened to all the other Spectre agents in there?
Collateral damage, yes.
let me guess. It ends with him making out with her in an inflatable raft.
In a
What?
very bad blue screen effect. Also, of course, destroying the Spectre base reactivated the volcano.
Hey, wait, where are all the other rafts?
We've been here all night.
Why? Like their rafts are literally there with you.
Okay, now
Oh
we'll have
wait,
to
now
question.
conveniently they're on alone. Where did everybody else go?
If we
Oh,
stay
yeah,
still
but-
long enough, no
that
one
was
will
it.
see us.
But
What
Gemma, that
was-
was at night earlier.
Also, what was with the zooming? Also,
Oops.
summary. Also, I will say that now I believe it's a bad time for the hanky panky because the rubber probably is not good for the friction.
Oh, and look, once again on the submarine. So,
From the MI6.
Bond, are we still supposed to pretend you're dead, or are we just going to ignore that in the next film?
The jig is up. The end of You Only Live Twice. But James Bond will be back, not played by Connery, on Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Oh my god, I was joking about this being the MCU of its time.
I remember,
Holy
Java,
cow.
it was doing so much money, so of course they were going to do something like that.
And yeah, these films are always doing that for a while.
Mhm.
So were they always planning for a different actor to play Bond, though, in Her Majesty's Secret Service? Because they had announced
No.
it that early. Oh.
Alright, no post-credit scene, so Bond will not be invited
So yeah, yeah. Thank you, Toho.
to whatever Amazon major series initiative could be. So, final thoughts, Dweebs?
Yeah, I enjoy it a lot more than Thunderball. The action's a lot more exciting and better edited as well, which is
Mhm.
interesting because Peter Hunt also edited the last movie, and the action there was done terribly. Maybe he felt he had to buck up his efforts because he really wanted to be a main director.
I don't know.
The supporting characters for the most part are fine. That's for the villains. While I mean, I do think Donald Pleasance does make a decent amount of impact as Blofeld, in spite of the limited screen time he got. The henchmen are there.
Hans was
I mean,
very
to be
essential
fair,
to the plot.
Okay, to be fair, Osato was fine if incompetent, and his assistant was again fine if incompetent. Hans, moving on. John Barry's still firing on all cylinders at the score, at least, as opposed to him having to slow the music down a lot for when he did Thunderball. Yeah, Connery, unfortunately, Yeah, he definitely looks and sounds, for the most part, rather checked out of doing these films. You can tell by his expressions and the way he talks, which is interesting because they dubbed the movies as well. The questionable use of disguising Bond to be Japanese. It looked shit back then, and it's just aged horrendously now. Honestly, though, in terms of negatives, I enjoy this film a lot. It's like I said, it's a lot more better paced than the last one. And in terms of ending, or what was supposed to be the end of Connery's turn as the character, could have been worse. Okay, who's next?
I'll go next. Honestly, this was a fun enough movie. It definitely has a few things that have aged badly with a side of a yikes, essentially. But ignoring Japanese Bond, essentially, I will say it does feel like it's one of the weaker films writing wise a bit in some cases. In the case, like, as far as love interests go, Aki is okay, I'll give her credit. Aki is certainly shown to be capable. It is very sad and tragic the way she goes, which is just the worst case of luck for both the assailant and the victim, sadly, but then, weirdly enough, they do the Bond thing of, well, the last girl to the end is the one he makes out with the most, so suddenly in comes Kissy. And don't get me wrong, she seems capable too, good for her. It's just, Kissy kind of feels like she comes out of nowhere, which is comparable to the final girl in the first film, Dr. No, essentially, wherein, you're part of the movie now. Aside from that, though, it's basically another Bond film. Though I will admit, it does give us a very, very good look finally coming face to face with Blofeld, essentially. The stakes are risen, essentially, and while Bond himself doesn't particularly go to space, the action is still nice and exhilarating and well-paced overall. Like, yeah, Thunderball's biggest problem was, of course, the pacing. It felt sluggish, like slogging through water. Even the underwater fight scene, which, while it was overall an enjoyable concept, carried on for too long. Here it feels like stuff moves at relatively the right speeds it needs to. Though I will say, Connery does seem like he's kind of checking out at times. Now, it doesn't feel like his entire performance is like that. I think he's fine for the most part, but hearing about the behind-the-scenes problems does shed some more light on that. But if we were to ignore that and just take the movie on its own here, it seems like a Bond film that basically keeps the franchise going. And again, not even a bad one per se. I feel the plot is overall enjoyable. There are some good jokes. The music carries over the action scenes well too, essentially. Hans really was just there, though, as far as bad guys go. Helga was neat and all, but I kind of would have probably rather she had a final confrontation with Bond, though. Admittedly, I think this was before the Femme Fatales could have outright direct fights with Bond, essentially. You know, ones that weren't just, like, knife struggles or whatnot. Well, okay, except for
No,
maybe
Pussy
that one
Galore did something
confrontation.
in Goldfinger, I will argue.
I'm talking about, like, a fight with Bond. Though, to be fair, at the end of With Russia With Love, we did technically have the mentor of the main female interest in that try to kill Bond directly. But I'm talking about, like, you know, an extensive fight scene, you know, kind of like what we would get in later films, essentially. But I digress. To me, it's a nice little fun James Bond romp, and one that I enjoyed well enough, in spite of its flaws. Next.
Shirai?
Okay. Yeah, action-wise, I'd say it's still pretty good. Yeah, it aged like milk. But I think it's like a well-made movie outside of that stuff. It just sucks that that stuff is there. Don't really know what else to say about this. This is a Bond movie. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It has a very confused cat in it.
Yes, the poor baby.
Alright, as for me, Like, I get about some of the improved stuff, like a bit better fight scenes, the lack of the fast forward button and everything, but at the end of the day, I still prefer Thunderbolt over this. Although, story-wise, on the whole, I understand the merits, particularly of continuing the saga against Spectre and revealing Blofeld. It does, in a way, kind of feel a bit conclusive in what they do with it. So there is merit on that, but for example, as mentioned, Hans is just not really there as a henchman. There's way too much, killing of female characters gratuitously, specifically in this movie. And to be fair, it's still better in what actually Ian Fleming wrote the whole matter in the books, because it gets comical in some places, like the original Casino Royale book, where Bond literally spends inner dialogue after inner dialogue about how much he hates the woman. And of course, the cultural stuff with Japan is just all over the place. You can kind of tell that they were generally trying to not fall into the stereotypes, but inadvertently did fall into new ones, which aged up in time. So that is the unfortunate part. But at the same time, they were trying to not paint the Japanese as the bad guys, for the matter, but just the theater of the stage in which this was being set up. So despite Spectre having collaborators in there, there is a good intention at the base. It's just that you know what payment good intentions made for. So it's fine as a movie on its own, but I argue it's still a bit of a step down at the end of the day. The cat is fun though, so that has to count for something. So, Dweebs, when will we return to the franchise? Where will we go?
We'll be going quite all over the place, really. Whereas this one was in mostly one location, we're going to be a bit more globetrotting next time, and also change nationality for our main character. Quite a distanced nationality, I must say, as George Lazenby will take on the role of Bond for the first and only time in 1969's On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
See ya.
Yeah.
See ya.